Okay, so today I'm recording on my iPad to an empty room. And if you've already done this question, then you can move on to the next one. Just fast forward it. So let's start by drawing our lines and writing the problem 6,247 divided by 29. I'm going to start by putting a box around 62. And what number do you think I should think of instead of 29? Okay, let's think of 30. So you can put 30 here, or you can just keep it in your head, it doesn't matter. And how many times will 30 go into 62? Okay, twice, so we're going to try 2. And 9 times 2 is 18. 2 times 2 plus 1, 58. So it looks like 58 will work. So here are the two numbers that I need to put into my division problem. Now I already put the 2 on top, and that means the 58 will go below the 62. And when you subtract, make sure you notice that there's regrouping. So this becomes a 5, and the 2 becomes a 12. So we got 4. All right. Is it okay to bring down the 4? Yes, it is. So we already know that 29 times 2 is 58. So it looks to me like we're going to need to use a 1. So that's going to be 29, because 1 times 29 equals 29. And again, we've got regrouping. So 14 minus 9 is 5, and 3 minus 2 is 1. Is 15 less than 29? Yes, so bring down the 7. All right, so now I'm thinking of the number 30, and how many times would it go into 150? Pretty sure 3 times 5 is 15. So what number should we try? A 5. So 9 times 5 is 45. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 4. So that gives me 145. Now I've got two numbers that need to go into my division problem. So I've got a 5 and a 145. And when I subtract, I get a remainder of 12. Now, remind me here, what 3 numbers do I highlight so I can check this problem? We came up with a good plan the other day. We're going to remember that little multiplication sign we drew between these two numbers, and that's going to remind me to multiply the quotient times the divisor. This time I'm putting the quotient on top because it has 3 digits. This is still turtle head multiplication. So 5 times 9, 45. 9 plus 4, 13. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 1 more, 19. X's and O's. 5 times 2 is 10. Regroup the 1. 2 times 1 plus 1, 3. 2 times 2, 4. So when I add that up, I get 6,255. The last thing I need to do, I think I started writing this with another color, is add my remainder. So that gives me 7. Oh, I made a mistake. This should be a 3. So then 7, 4, 2, 6. Let's see if I included everything. 2, 15, 29, and 12. This problem, I've got 4,289 divided by 52. So I'm looking at this, and I notice that 52 won't go into 42, so I'm going to have to go all the way over to the 8. So now I'm going to think of 50. How many times would 50 go into 400? Well, how many times would 5 go into 40? 8. So do you want to try an 8? Okay, so 52 times 8. Go ahead and solve that. So that looks like it's going to work. Now here's the thing. You've got to put the number on top of the doghouse in the correct place. So that means it goes over the last digit in your box. So the 8 actually goes on top of the 8. And 416 goes below. And we're going to subtract and get 12. So now 12 is less than 52. I can bring down my 9. So I'm going back to the number of 50. I'm thinking of 50. How many times would 50 go into 129? So if you're thinking 2, that's what I'm thinking. So I'll take my divisor times 2, and that's going to give me 104. Looks like it's going to work. And my remainder is 25. So remainder 25. Now, I'm going to take my divisor times my quotient and then add my remainder. This time I can put my divisor on top because it's 2 by 2 multiplication. I like this because now I can see that I've got 104 and 4,160. Now if I add it up, hopefully I'm not making any mistakes, and I add my remainder, $4,289, and that's the number I started with. Okay, next problem. 6,649 divided by 63. Now, you remember when I said sometimes it's best just to get started? And I'm looking at this and it looks like 63 goes into 66 once. Actually, you want to write with blue. So 1 times 63, and when I subtract, I get 3. Bring down your 4, and I think we know what number goes at the top when I cannot divide. So I'm going to put a 0 there. Now there's a couple ways you can do it. You can just do 34 minus 0 equals 34. Then bring down your 9. Or you could skip this 34 and 0 step and just put your 9 right beside the first 34. It's totally up to you. So now I have to think, how many times will 63, I'm going to think of it as 60, go into 300? Times 2? No, got to be bigger than that. 6 times 5 is 30, so should we try 5? Let's try 5. That looks good. So I have 2 numbers that go into my division problem. One goes on top, one goes below. So we've got a 5 and 315. And that gives me a remainder of 34. Now this time, I'm going to have to put my quotient on top because it's a 3-digit number. So 105 times 63, and this is turtle head. So we've got 15 X's and O's, and we've got 6,300. And if I add 34, I'm hoping I'm going to get the dividend I started with. Now what'd I do? Oops, I multiplied. It's because I'm in a big hurry. All right, there you go. And I've got my 3 numbers. All right. Very last problem. 3,164 divided by 45. And right away I see that 31 isn't large enough. So I'm going to have to go all the way over to the 6. And it's going to be 316. So do you want to think of 45 as 50 or 40? Probably 50? Let's round up to 50. Okay, so how many times would 5 go into 300? Or 30? Should we try 6? Or 7? 6? Okay. 45 times 6. That's going to be 270. Well, we better try 7. 45 times 7. That's going to be 35. Oh, that's nice. So I've got 2 numbers that need to go into my division problem. A 7 and 315. So where do I write the 7? Remember, it's above the last digit in that box you made. And then 45 times 7 is 315. 6 minus 5 is 1. Bring down my 4. And I don't have enough to divide. So who remembers what I put at the top when I don't have enough to divide? 0. So now I've got 70, remainder 14. And I'm going to check this problem. So 45 times 70, the easiest way to do that, take off the 0 and put it back on, right? Yeah. So 35, 31. So 3,150 plus 14 gives me 3,164. And that's the number I started with. Okay. Good job today. Now behave yourself for the sub and get on iReady.